Well, I appreciate you guys all coming. This has been a big deal for me getting ready for this, deciding that this year was the year we were going to really work and getting reconnected with all of you, being able to start to share more. And we've decided to move and not move, but really bring in YouTube. So we're going to be doing a lot more on YouTube, meditations, and actually doing workshops and things like that on YouTube. So there'll be private areas to be able to do YouTube events, workshops, and things like that to really help you guys on your spiritual journey and doing Q&As. Try to do them about once a month to help answer questions and help you along your path and give you, information to support what you're going through and know you're not alone and know you're not crazy because I know that those are a lot of issues that come up that when we're going through things and feeling it, we think we're the only one that's experiencing it or we're the only one that is, feeling these crazy things. But trust me, probably half of it I felt or more. So I'm here to answer these questions for you, to support you and help you along the way. We actually did receive an email in with some questions so that you guys can ask questions. And like I said, on anything spiritually that you're interested in or having trouble with, whether it's meditation, questions about your guides and angels and, that type of expansion of your own spiritual journey, helping you to get more clear, more grounded, and finding that kind of rhythm and routine for yourself and connecting with your guides. And you have anything to say, Miss Magic Dragon Kelly here?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kelly, aka Magic Dragon in the group. I actually don't think I've met any of you guys. I know of a couple of you, but I've never actually met any of you. So that's new for me. I usually know at least one person in the that comes on. So
Well,
nice to meet you.
I'll
And
share with you, Kelly, that Lori is my one of my best friends out in
yep,
LA.
yep,
Nancy is my
yep.
sister.
I know that.
Autumn is Nancy's friend, and
Okay,
Alina is a client.
nice,
Holly is also a friend that I am in a women's support group with. And then
nice.
Stacy is someone that I met out in Arizona and who has been championing me for since we got connected. And she's every single time something comes up she thinks I should do, she sends it to me. So I
Oh,
just
that's
love
lovely.
her. She's
Super
always
cool.
keeping me up to date on what's going on in Arizona and what I should get involved in.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you guys all for being here for sure. We actually have somebody else joining now, Maggie Her.
Yeah, that's
Um,
another one of the women's group ladies.
Amazing. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And like Karen said, we're gonna, whatever questions you guys have that, you may be stuck on or you'd like to get some clarity on or just curious about or whatever that may be, we are here for it. So let's rock and
Yeah,
roll.
and the angels are here. They're ready to help channel in some information and answers to help you guys out. So please feel free to, if you got a question, let me know, raise your hand, speak up.
I have a question, Karen.
Yes,
Can
Stacy.
she introduce herself? Because it's hard because I only know you. So if I had anything to direct question wise to her, I'd kind of want to know the background.
Yeah, Kel.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be quite honest, I presume 95% of the ants questions will go to Karen. I'm here more as support, but I've worked with Karen for several years. I'm kind of in the background of Zento healing. I help with, I don't know, lots of things.
Everything. There isn't anything she doesn't do.
I definitely have my own spiritual journey and spiritual path, but as far as being an expert, that falls more on Karen, although I know she'll say, don't sell yourself short, Kelly. But
Yes.
so I'm happy to answer any questions, but like I said, most of the questions will probably be answered from Karen for this particular live.
And Kelly, Stacy, also, we have a podcast together. We've kind of been on hiatus, but The Unseen Universe is our podcast that we do together. Kelly and I started working together back when I was in LA. What was it? We decided was it 2018, 19? I think it was 19, 2019.
Think so?
It was after my mom passed.
It was.
Yeah. And so we started working together then. She was interested in what I did. I did a reading and we kind of connected. She offered her help. And then after we started working together, that's been it. She's been literally the muscles behind the scenes of everything for me, helping me with writing, helping me with, getting products put together and, you know, teaching materials and things like that. So, and she does, like she says she doesn't, but she does have a lot of very intuitive abilities and has had many personal experiences within her own life, not just in the years that we've known each other, but way prior to me. So her abilities and gifts have been there all along. So she does have quite a bit, and she is very intuitive. Like when I write, and I write like crazy. So poor Kelly, everybody should pray for her because all of my crazy writing rambles on and she clears it up. But she has been able to really come in understanding with the way the messages come through and I put them out, that she's able to make them make more sense, because sometimes when the angels and guides come through, it's like this dump of information. It's really hard for me to be very clear and concise so everybody else gets it. Thank God she understands my crazy when it all comes out and is able to, put that out there for you guys all to hear and understand and read or view in a better way. So that's Kelly. We lovingly started nicknaming her years ago the Magic Dragon, and that's kind of stuck. So that's who, if you ever hear me talk about the Magic Dragon, that is Kelly. She is the brains and muscles and smarts behind Zen2 Healing. I hope that answers that for you.
Just compliment Karen. She's also the brains and smarts behind Zen2 Healing. So
I'm just the voice from the angels, the communication system. So are there any other questions?
I have a question,
Nancy?
The world seems so volatile right now, and there seems to be so much anger and so much, like, we're going backwards in my mind. There's so much. It seems like darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And including the fires that are here, it just seems like so much devastation and negativity. Is the world going to change soon? Like, are we going to come into light? Because it just seems like right now, the way I'm feeling with everything I'm inundated on the news and, with the fires and with everything, all the negativity from, the new administration and just all the politics. It's just, you're either this or you're either that. There's no compromise. It just seems so dark and heavy. I want to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, the end of the tunnel guaranteed is a light, because at the end of this life is the light that we go home to. But in speaking of the present moment, it is always the darkest before the dawn. And all the things that are happening right now are the positive shifts that are in the process that are going on. So we are actually past what is considered the tipping point of the energy between the masculine energy and the feminine energy and the age of Aquarius, all of that coming into fruition and coming into power. And it's not about becoming dominating the situation with the feminine energy, but it is bringing back balance between that masculine and feminine energy. And the chaos that we feel for the people that are unhappy with the administration that is in now, or whether you're for it, there is on both sides. If you take out the name of who it is and you focus on, there's always been a play on, you're either this side or that side. Everybody's unhappy in one way. The people that are for Trump are pissed off at the people that are not for Trump. And, the same thing goes around the other way when a Democrat was in there. We need to focus on what we can do for ourselves to keep ourselves in a place of groundedness and calmness within our personal physical environment, within that auric field first. And then from that, within your home and within your neighborhood, community, and so on. Because if you go to what is going on in the White House or in the governmental states, you're putting your energy out of you and giving them power to control every aspect of your life. Now, I understand that's what the whole premise of the government is, but the energy that you put out, if we all sat here and I asked you all to just look at me on your screen and just think the worst, most negative thoughts, it will affect me. And if I ask you to send me nothing but love and light in the most positive way for the collective whole of what I am doing in this moment, it is going to imbue me with the wisdom and the compassion to do what's best, not just for myself, but for all that I'm here in service of. And that is the same thing, whether you like the president or not, the things we have to remember is we need to say, okay, this is where we're at, and this is what we need to do. I need to take care of me. I can't live in the aspect of complete fear all the time. I need to be the light that is needed at this time. So if you see the situation as dark, you need to focus on being as bright and positive a light as possible. Whatever you feel about the person that sits in that seat in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we need to put light and support around for the greatest good for the collective whole, not just the United States, but of our planet. So it's very important that we take that time to pull back that energy, pull back that hatred, and also pull back all the energy that you're giving away to everybody else to affect your peace and harmony within yourself, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. So concentrate on doing the light in me, the light in my home, the light in my community.
Right, because that ripples out into the collective consciousness of the universe. So it helps everybody. You think you're just being selfish, taking care of yourself, but you're actually rippling that light and positivity out. So we can shift the consciousness and the vibration so that we find harmony in this movement forward as we come out of 26,000 years of patriarchal control, that we move into the balance and the kindness of that feminine energy.
I think I also need to shut off the TV more. I mean, I'm doing better about not watching the news, but it's just been so fire, fire, fire.
Right.
And in
But
between the fire, new regime, which, was fine. It's just that it's just all this input. So I need to concentrate on me and my light and my home, and then work out rather than letting it take away my energy.
so if you're watching TV, and I'm not telling everybody, we all watch TV. I will say I binged watch all of Outlander, so that's just the way it is. I don't watch a lot of news, but when you watch something that fires you up with anger and fear, that is when you turn the TV off when you're done and you sit and meditate and ask for that to be cleared and grounded. You smudge yourself and you just ask, may I please put light out for the highest good of all? So that's what you want to focus on instead of saying, well, I want him to do this and I want him to do that. That's you trying to take control where you're not taking in consideration everybody else that may need something that he is doing. So you
Right.
ask the angels to do what's best for the collective whole.
Okay. That's good. I just felt like I was being inundated with all the negativity from, social media, from the TV, it's just everything. So knowing that I feel like I need to meditate more and push it out, my light, rather than letting that take away from my light.
Right. So let's try this together. Put your hand over your heart, close your eyes. Just kind of feel right now, feel your heart beating underneath your hand. And then feel yourself breathing in. And feel yourself breathing out. And know that you are surrounded in this moment by the angels and that you are loved and that you are safe and they are waiting for you to invite them to support you. And you are in command of the angels to ask them to go out and put light over all the hearts and all the minds of all the people in power, giving them the compassion and the kindness and the light under the law of grace to help us all for the best and highest good of all involved, of the entire collective consciousness and humanity. And so it's not just the humans, but all sentient beings, the animals, everything, our whole planet. And just feel that light and love of the angels embracing you, and see with every breath you let out, as you exhale, imagine 1,000,000 angels shooting out around the world, doing the work that you know that our world needs and that they know better than we do. Exactly what is needed to bring peace, kindness, compassion, and harmony to our planet and also to the universe. So just take a minute just like this and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's just a really nice way to go, okay, all of that was really crazy on TV, but this is what I want, because that set off a trigger in my heart and my energy. And I'm asking that to get cleared, and I'm sending that light out for myself and for the rest of the world. And that's the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to the collective whole, because you're not just blessing you, you have now just blessed the entire planet.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You're welcome. So any other questions? Hi, Nikki. Hi, Maggie. You're all going to be just quiet and not have any questions. Look at Polly's like, yes, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not saying
And if
anything.
anybody doesn't feel comfortable asking the question in front of the group, direct message me and I'll just ask the question on your behalf without using your name. If that makes anybody more comfortable, I'm happy to do that.
Karen, I'll ask a question because
Yep.
so I I believe that, we have access to any angels at any time if we call them into our space. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to understand, like, is there one that really guides us more, like that is there more with us all the time? And if there is, how do you know what it is to further connect to it and strengthen that?
Well, we all are born with a guardian angel. Each of our souls have a guardian angel, and this is my belief and my experience, and over 55 years of doing this. And but I'll tell you, I am 58, and in those 58 years, it took 57 and a half before my guardian angel finally gave me her name. And but I've always known that I had one. We all do. We all come into this life with at least one, sometimes more, actual guardian angels that are with our souls from its conception as a soul. So through every life you've ever experienced, this same guardian has been with you. So all the wisdom, all the experiences, good and bad, through lives here on this planet as human and other forms, they've been there with you. So they know everything that you've experienced. And I always, knew she was there. Didn't know she was a she, just knew there was a guardian. But then I kept asking last year, really focusing on, I really want to know your name. I need a name so I feel better. Like I feel more attached to you. And I am not a sitting meditator. I'm a laying down meditator because I do better in that space. And I laid down, I closed my eyes, and I put my hands over my solar plexus and just really kept asking for my guardian to come forward to let me know that they were there, that who they were, what can I call them, so that I could know when I call to them that I feel their presence in my space and with me. And all of a sudden, it was almost like, if you can imagine your physical body and then your soul, I could feel my soul start to separate. And I was getting like almost tremors through my whole body from head to toe. And in that, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I could feel my soul move back into my body. And I'm like, is that you? And then it did it again. And I was like, oh my God, okay, so this is communication. So I kept going through questions. And then I'm like, what do I call you? And then the name Gracie came into my mind. So my guide's name is Gracie. My guardian's name is Gracie. And when I feel her, that same experience happens every single time. When I feel her, I start to feel that separation. So I feel that higher vibrational energy within myself connecting more easily. So finding a way for yourself, that's what works for me when I'm trying to just be quiet. That helps. And it's funny, I will sit at my desk with headphones on, no music playing, just to get me inside my own headspace. So wherever that is for you, whether it's taking a walk, laying down, meditating, whatever that calmness energy is for you, to be able to get into your physical breath and presence in your body, and then allow, it's almost it's almost like moving into your higher consciousness, separating your daily thoughts of worrying about bills in life and moving into that higher consciousness space and asking for a name, asking for a feeling to come over you. I know for me, like I said, it was this physical body tremors. If I was in California, I would have thought it was an earthquake because it was quite that much of movement. But once it happened, and I did it like 3 days in a row, like really working at it, and I noticed that it kept continuing being the same, the same, the same. And so now as I sit, I can start to think about her. And even as I'm saying this right now, I'm starting to get vibrations up my back. So I can feel her energy moving forward. So I would invite you to give yourself time to find what feels good and is the most calming space, whether it's sitting, having coffee and closing your eyes and really getting into the feeling of drinking your coffee, whatever that is, to help yourself connect to that higher vibrational awareness of yourself, to make that connection to your guide, if that helps.
If I
Thank you.
if I can just piggyback off of that just a little bit, just to kind of reiterate also, Karen, she has the great ability to be able to see, hear, feel, smell. She's got all the clairs and they're all amazing. So not all of us, I mean, we all have the capability, obviously, but some of us are more focused on others. I'm a very visual person. I don't feel as much in the same traditional sense as Karen does. So, for instance, when I had a meditation years ago, I had a little fairy pop into one of my meditations, and I was like, "Who are you?" And she told me her name. And that was great, but it was a visual more than it was a feeling. Same, literally just now when we did the exercise with the hand over the heart, Karen and I were talking a couple days ago, and we were talking about my guides and my angels around me and all of that. And I like to know names of things. We, as humans, it's a way for us to connect, even though we don't technically need it. But I mean, we name pets, we name boats, we name cars, we name plants. Like, it's a way for us to connect to things, right? So I like to know the names of the people that are around me. So I know one of my guides' names, I know my little fairy's name. And so just now in this exercise, even though it wasn't what we were supposed to be doing, technically, I was like, who's around me right now? And literally, I saw a name pop through my head. I don't know. It's Sabrina. No clue who Sabrina is. I don't know a Sabrina. So I have to go with that and say, okay, well, one of my guides around me is named Sabrina, but it wasn't a feeling I had. For me, it was visual. So if you don't necessarily have the same experience as Karen just described, don't think that it's not working or whatever. Just focus in on what you do. Maybe it's a hearing, maybe you hear it, maybe you sense it, whatever that may be. Just wanted to add that on a little bit.
And that's really great. And I'm glad you did, Kelly, because I forget about that. But I had a workshop I did where I talked about all the languages of spirituality. There's hearing, feelings, knowing, sensing, smelling, tasting, all of that comes into play. So your body becomes the instrument of awareness of all the languages that they can talk to you in. So, like as we talk, I can hear things, and sometimes I'll get a visual. And that's important that, you know, because I've been doing it for so many years with all of those different ones as they've grown through my life, I forget that not everybody is fully aware. You may have one really strong, being empathic. So maybe you may really feel it in the gut and you know things. So when you get looking for confirmations, you kind of get little tingles in your tummy or something. Those are the languages of your guides to help you communicate. So, like Kelly said, be aware that it may be a visual behind your eyes. It may be, a feeling, like they talk about the feather that falls out of nowhere, or the blue jay that is flying around when it shouldn't be where you're at, butterflies in winter, which is not normal, those kind of things. So watch for those subtle, I don't know what, they're very subtle communications and winks from the universes. I like to think of them all because that's what they're doing, is they're just waiting for you to catch on. And then once you catch on, it seems like, it's like when you decide I'm going to go buy a red Jeep, and then all of a sudden that's the only thing you see on the road are red Jeeps. So does that make sense, Stacy? You waving, Lori?
Yeah.
I have a question when you guys have time.
Yes, go ahead.
So, have we met our guardian angel before? Because I know they're with us from the moment we're born, but like I always think that my mom and my brother have passed and they're watching over me. They are not my guardian angel, but do we know the guardian angel from another life? Or how do we get our guardian angel?
At the moment of your soul's creation, there is a guardian angel that you meet before you come into a life. Your soul is created. The guardian angel then is kind of like your twin and comes with you through every experience you have throughout your soul's existence through eons. So that one is with you. Now, your mom and your brother who have passed, they are, they're your loved ones. They're your angels on the other side, so to speak. They're just, for me, I think of guides, angels, and loved ones. And that's how I see it for me. So there's your guides and your guardian angel. There's your angels, archangels, there's dragons, there's unicorns, there's fairies, there's all kinds of magical beings that are there, and ETs. And then there are your loved ones. And these are your loved ones that you have lost in this life and all other lives. So they are still connected to your soul. Your soul will always be connected to all of those family. So we talk about soul families. So let's say your mom and you are very close in this life and she's gone, but your connection in this life was because you had a connection in a different life. And so therefore she came back again to have another experience with you. In another life, you may have been her mother. So those are things that we call kind of soul families, where the souls repeat lives. My mother and father were a soul family. The two of them had been together in the numerous lives. And my dad and mom came together in this life. My dad agreed to be the father and then leave so that my mother could raise us, because she wanted two girls. They had two girls. My brother was born and died, and my dad left 6 months after that. So that was the agreement. Everybody thought it was horrible, but that was their soul's agreement. My mom wanted two girls to raise her way, and that's what she got. Does that make sense?
Yes. So we could know someone in our present life from many other lives. And do they have to be consecutive, or can they come back at different times?
Now, if you think about it, because as humans, we think this way, it's linear, but
Right.
it's not. It's like this. It's all happening at the same time. So when we talk about doing soul healing, chakra healing through different levels of the soul, those things are happening where we're not only helping this physical life, but we're helping all the other lives before and after this present one, because it is in a circle. It's all happening at one time. So you have somebody, let's say in one life at 18, they drowned. So suddenly now in this life, you turn 18 and out of nowhere, you're terrified of water because that experience is now translated into you. So those things when we talk about doing soul clearance and going through different things, which I don't personally really Akashic records, but those types of things, we are not only clearing the ancestral lineage of our soul here, but also the soul throughout multiple lives, because trauma from other lives can carry into this life.
So that's why I hate sharks.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not real big on spiders myself, so I can only imagine what happened to me. Yes. That's my worst nightmare. I'd rather deal with a demon than a spider.
My mom always used to joke. I grew up in Dallas, and we grew up in a suburb that had a lot of train tracks, and we would always get stuck by a train. Always, no matter what time of day we left, no matter what route we took. And she said, I swear I must see you. I must have been a train robber in a past life. And now I'm just like, it's coming back on me. I'm getting stopped all the time. So
That's funny. You're muted, Nikki.
No, I was just delighting in what Kelly Ray said. I must have been a train robber. That's just funny.
So does anybody else have any other questions? I'm enjoying answering these. These are good. Okay, well then, Kelly, you want to read one of the questions we have?
yeah, it's actually interesting. One of the questions that Jeannie wanted to ask was already pretty much asked. Hers was about the news and the chaos going on right now, and how, as an individual, you or she, whoever, can impact the trajectory of the planet. So we pretty much already answered that question. So let me see which other questions she has. This has kind of already been asked and answered as well, but we could probably go into it a little bit more. Are our angels always around us, or do we need to call them in for protection or in a crisis situation? And then she
Your
also
angels are always with you, and that's really important. They're always there, but free will is a gift that we all have, and so they don't interfere or change things except for in what they consider extreme situations, and I can't even explain what those are because I'm not given that privilege, but we have to ask. So like when I talk about the dragons and the unicorns and fairies and other mystical, what we consider folklore beings, those energies, like especially dragons. Now, I am very connected with dragons, not only because of our magic dragon, but I have my own personal dragon who came to me years ago. And there are earth, air, fire, and water dragons. And much like the same with the unicorns and if you think through the hierarchy of the angels, some are more tending to the earth and some are more tending to other things. They all can do everything, but some specialize in certain things. But what you need to do is ask for their help and ask them to go help others, to send them out, like we were talking about, sending them out to different areas of the world, places that are having fires or floods and things like that. And what I learned when I was learning about dragons is when you work with the elements and having beings of light and things like that, working with the elements, when you ask for a fire dragon to come, it's not about setting fires, but burning away that lower, heavier energy that is around us. So when we feel weighed down and depressed from the things we see on TV or personal experiences or just emotions, changing in life, and you can ask them to come and burn away that lower vibration. And then you can ask the air dragons, and to come and clean the air of your mind, to help your thoughts. And then also do that same for the environment, to clean it chemically, to clean that space of toxins. But we have to remember those hard thinking thoughts that we put out and the nasty things that we say to ourselves that we would never say to another living person going through the same thing. Those are heavy negative energies, and we need to clean that. So we always need to start with asking for that clearing, asking for the angels and guides to help me keep my vibration around my thoughts clear, help me clean the energy of myself. So doing, cord cutting, doing, just like before we did this event today, I was smudging and clearing myself in a figure eight, connecting myself with the energy of Mother Earth, bringing that in, connecting myself with the divine light, bringing that in, so that I am in the balance between heaven and earth, receiving what I need and letting go of what I don't, so that I can be a clear conduit for this event and whatever I do in a day. So before you start work, before you go to bed, when you wake up, those are times to consciously go, oh yeah, I need to call in my guides and ask them to keep me safe and clear and positive and grounded today. So it is important to ask for that. It is important to call them in to do that, because then you open that door and you open up to the possibility of what they're giving. And I'll say it a lot of times is I'll tell people, we think about this big and we're like, oh, I want the perfect little house, 2 bedrooms in the bathroom and a little white picket fence and all of this. Well, then you tell the angels that's what you want. And they're like, okay, well, that's this big. And what we want to give you is this big. So you always put it out there that I need security, I need safety. And so in that, they see that, oh, having a home makes you feel safe and secure. Okay, so let me build you a beautiful home. Let me bring to you a beautiful home. And instead of it just being a 2 bedroom, you may think that's all you want or need, but you may find that the 4 bedroom in a most beautiful place, whether it's the beach or the mountains, whatever it is that really brings you the greatest joy, you've opened the door for them to feel into your energy because you've invited them in to help you. And they read the feelings more than the words that we think. They read the feelings of joy and peace and happiness within you when you're requesting these things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, did I get the question, or
I think so.
Was there anything else that Jeannie was asking?
She does. This one's she said sorry if these are a little heavy. But I think it's a really good question, and I think it's one that a lot of people ask. If we all have angels looking out for our best good, why do people perish in disasters, accidents, etc.? So
Yeah, that is a heavy one. And the answer is the one that I live with. That is the one that I connect with. So this is my truth. This is the way it has been communicated and processed through my life experiences. I use the event of Sandy Hook, which is one of the most horrific things, where those children were killed. The young teacher trying to protect the children, she also died. I remember I was in the car the day I heard about this, and I was with my husband, and the first thing that I felt and saw was the proverbial moving into the light. And I saw the teacher walking with her hands out and to her sides, holding the hands of the little kids that also died with her. And as they were walking towards the light, moving up into the sky, one of the little kids turned around and looked at me and said, "We're fine. We did this so that you would learn to help the ones that are left behind. They need your help. We're fine." And this was our purpose, to do this. So, as humans, obviously, those are our children, those are our friends, and it is devastating to lose them in a horrific way. So, I am not negating that. But as a soul, those souls did a beautiful act for the collective whole in that environment, and humanity that learned about it and watched it to understand how important the process of making that event happen was, that mental health and protecting our children, those things are really important, because you think about the young man who did it, there was mental issues, but you think about the children that are left behind, there's emotional issues. And so therefore, becoming mental issues, we need to put light and love around and awareness. So on a human level, horrific, absolutely horrible. I wish it never happened. I remember crying a lot in regards to it, but it took time from what they said to me for me to come to a better understanding. You know, horrible things happen, and humanity likes to believe that we are going to stay alive, and our parents are going to be alive forever, our friends are going to be alive forever, our spouses. But the reality is, we come in, and the minute we are born, we begin to die. And the end of this journey, no matter how long or how short it is exactly what our soul needs. We are here to teach, we are here to learn and grow in a way soulfully, so that we can come back to the other side to bring the wisdom gathered by the soul to the collective whole, so that when we go, that we then also go back and gather that information and share our information. That's why each one of us, it's so important to be uniquely you, because you are here for a purpose. Your soul is here to gather wisdom, has experienced so much, and you have your own unique view and experience and traumas and joys that activate within you throughout this physical life, that help you to gather more knowledge as a soul, so that you can share that with that collective consciousness when you cross over. So I think those things, I don't believe in a vengeful God. I don't believe in, you're being punished for doing something wrong. I think that there is two sides to every single coin, and that wisdom on both sides of that horrible coin, whether it's the good side or the bad side, the information is to raise the collective consciousness, not just yours, but all of us when we go back home to the light. So that's my take on it. Yes, Lori.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. So I always think of a soul as agreeing to a life uh, before it's born, and to certain lessons they must learn in that life. So those souls that died, did they agree that they would
Yes.
perish at that point, and they had
Yeah.
learned the lessons that they had come here to learn? Like, you're here to learn, you know, humility or something like that. Do you see it kind of that way?
I do. I do believe that, from my perspective, that we all come in with agreements to learn, let's say, 50 lessons. I'm sure it's way more than that, but let's just give it that number, 50 lessons. Now, we are also given free will. So when we come into this physical life, it is our choice how to learn those lessons. Now, let's say you go through and you live 60 years, and in those 60 years, you actually really have only learned 15 of those 50 lessons. And for whatever reason, it was time to exit, because we all have multiple exit points within our lives where events can transpire. We can make soulful, conscious choices to go ahead and exit and leave this life. And so you leave at 60, you've only done 15 of the 50. Now it's, you go to the other side and you go, okay, this is what I've learned, and I need to go back and finish these. So you come back in another incarnation and continue learning plus some more. You're like, oh, when on the other side you're talking big, you're like, oh, I can do that plus another 50, So now you got 65 and you come back. So it is the soul's experience to continue learning and expanding, but we don't just learn in the physical realm. when we leave here and we cross to the other side and we are with, the light, and we are going through kind of like the debrief of our experience as a human in this life, there is still learning. There is still time to learn through that process of knowledge that you acquired and are sharing. Because remember, now you're back in that collective consciousness. You are able to learn and continue understanding things before you make a choice to choose to come back into another incarnation or experience somewhere. So the agreement, like my brother, who I'm very spiritually connected to, died when I was 3, and my mom was 7.5 months pregnant with him. But his sole agreement with my family, with my mom and dad, was to make my mom be pregnant and then die before his time so that my parents would divorce. Because in this incarnation, my father wanted a boy, my brother was the boy, and then he died, and then my dad left 6 months later. So it was the push that needed to happen for my dad to leave, because even though he had agreed to that with my mom in a soul level, in the human level, he needed something to help him leave. And that my brother's soul made that agreement to be a part of that so that my mother could go on. And my brother stayed with me. He was the first soul I ever communicated with, and I was 3. And he stayed with me till I was 12 and then returned back 38 years later. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions anybody wants to ask? I want to be able to answer your question. No, you're just
Can it
going
be
to
a
sit and
personal
smile.
question?
What?
Can it be a personal question?
Okay. Hi, Kitty.
That's Cutie Pie, and it's about her. She
Yeah.
seems, I mean, she's older. She's gotten thinner. I just, will she tell me when her time is ready to go?
Yeah, because you're very connected with your animals, I find that animals will come and let you know. Um, Almost every single one of my animals have done that, and just kind of they're like usually really full of business just before the end if they're doing well and it's just a normal progression, or they'll come up and kind of be extra snuggly when they're not normally that way and kind of let you know. Because I had 3 cats, each did it differently. And so you just pay attention to it. If you think that time is coming, be aware of the feeling that comes up with them, because they communicate with love and purring and, trying to hide, where they change their normal routine. And you'll start to notice. I mean, at least my experience has been that with, the many animals that I have had and friends with animals.
Okay.
So Kelly,
Yes, yes, I'm here.
so I just want to make sure that that's Nikki.
Yeah, I know Nikki.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because I wanted to make sure that you got this
Yeah.
everybody. And is there any other questions, you guys? We still have like 8 minutes. I just want to.
I'll ask a random question. It's not really random.
Okay.
I'll ask a question about you channeling and connecting to spirit. So if you're ever in a session with somebody
Mm-hmm.
and you channel somebody for them, whether it's intentional or not, but they come through to you, and you
Mm-hmm.
have a feeling that they have passed away, but you're able to
Mm-hmm.
still communicate and get verification that that is who was coming through. But then you find out after the session that that person actually has not passed away. How does that work with, is it a feel like, how does it, what is it that you feel that makes you think that possibly they had passed away? Is it a feeling from the other person's higher self or their soul that maybe they're just kind of at the end of life and they haven't quite crossed over yet? Or how do you know, or how you, I'm not really asking the
Yeah.
question,
No,
but
you're
I
I'm getting your
know what I'm
question. So the question is how do I know if the person's passed on or if I'm talking to their higher self? Because I can communicate with whether it's a spirit or a living person's higher self.
right. And when, if, have you ever accidentally thought you were talking to somebody that was already passed, but they actually had not passed?
Yes. And when that happens, it is usually the vibrational energy of the person. So when I talk to the higher self obviously is a very high vibrational part of you, of that person. And then what I'm getting in the feeling of a low vibration would be what the human experience is happening to them. So it kind of melds together a bit and kind of makes it washy for me. So I'm like unsure of what it is. But when I feel that, it is usually there's sickness, there's sadness, heaviness. Like depression feels very heavy to me as somebody like when somebody's preparing to die, I typically will feel the person in the preparations of death, and I feel a lot of light because I have helped 5 or 6 people now pass to the other side. So there's a very unique experience to somebody who is dying out of tragedy or, very grave illness, and somebody who is preparing, they're okay, like they're accepted, this is what's coming. So there is energy of the light around them, but a higher self that comes and communicates to me where I perceive it to be somebody that has actually crossed when it is not. It is the preparation of the soul consciousness talking with the physical consciousness, their subconscious, to help them understand that this is a preparation for things that are coming. So the soul knows when it is time to leave, and the soul, like I said earlier with Lori, that there are exit points, many exit points. And so some people have 1 or 2 exit points in their life. Some people have 5, depending on how their life is going, different exit points show up for different reasons. And it's never a right or wrong choice. It is a choice. And that is a soul choice. So this person, I would say, is most likely coming closer to that point of an exit coming up. And that exit to me feels more of the soulful consciousness awareness, the higher self, and the subconscious of the physical human is kind of toying with it because there is still an awareness, even though consciously the person doesn't know, but subconsciously it's there.
Sure. Yeah, that
So
makes total.
spreading that information of connection through somebody like me, a channel, being able to say, hey, this is somebody I would really like to be able to connect with before the end, may be why I'm getting that kind of information.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So, well, is there any other questions? Anybody?
We've got 3 minutes.
Come on, anything.
Any final thoughts?
No. Why not?
Okay.
Come on, Nikki. I know you. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, Nikki,
Oh.
come on.
Hi, this is Autumn. I just want to say thank you so much for today because I'm about ready to go through a court battle next month, and my daughter passed 4 years ago. So this just is helping me realize how to center again and how to breathe through it and know that everything's going to turn out great. So I really needed this today. So thank you, Nancy, for sending me the link, and thank
You're
you for
welcome.
everybody.
Well,
Thank you.
Autumn, that in the event when you do the court battle, know that she will be sitting next to you. Know that whatever the outcome is, she is grateful for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, Nikki, what's your question?
Oh, it's interesting because we've been working together so long. I feel pretty grounded in a lot of this information, but excuse me, what I was thinking of is something that would be helpful for us moving forward, a piece of advice or a word to like integrate into our daily thoughts. You know, is there an affirmation or an intention? Like, is like a little gift for all of us to kind of weave into our daily life to keep us in the light and sharing our gifts?
Well, I'm going to tell you the one that comes to mind and the one that I use a lot is you take your hand and you put it on your heart and you feel the beating of your heart, and then you close your eyes and you focus on the breath and remind yourself how loved you are. Remind yourself of all the support you have, and then take that time to just breathe and be really present with that breath. Drawing in that breath, imagine it coming in from Mother Earth, grounding you. And then when you let that out, releasing all that you don't need, all that heaviness and that worry. And then when you take the next breath in, see that coming in through the light, through the top of your head, and just pouring this beautiful liquid gold light of love, compassion, and support all over you and through you. So there is no part of you that you can hide from this light, that you are loved unconditionally through every cell in your body. And just remember to ask and invite them in. Say thank you. My prayer today was, thank you for making me a clear channel. I surrender my light to you to help me be the best that I can be for myself and all that come here today. Let me bless them with your love, your compassion, and be the light that I wish to see in the world.
Lovely.
And that's what I do when I start getting super duper angst. That's what I do when, I'm being Karen, I'm not being the channel, and I'm having, the shit day. I have to put my hands on my heart and remind myself that I'm right here. And right here, I'm okay. And right here, I can call in all that light. And right here, it's all available to me. Nothing, I don't have to do anything to make it, be possible. I just have to ask for it to come in. That's it.
That's a very nice coping tool. I like that. Thank you
Yeah,
for
absolutely. Well, thank you all for being here today. I am so truly grateful. And with the YouTube channel will be up next week before the end of the month, I promise. And this will be here to share with you so you guys can all view it. And we will be putting up meditations, we will be putting up education and things like that coming through this whole year. So I'm very excited about it.
Gonna be good stuff.
What did you write, Kelly?
Oh, I was just letting folks know what I do.
What do you do?
The phrase. I do the Buddhist chant Namayoho Renge Kyo. So it's very short, very sweet. You can do 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minutes, as many as you want. But for me, it really brings me back in and centers me. So
That's great. That's really good. And chanting, I've heard chanting. I think it's fantastic. I heard what is it? The Buddhist monks came to Galen Rowell's funeral, and I listened to him chant, which was amazing. Such vibration. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing to do. What do you do, Nikki?
what I do. I mean, it's just a series of things, of tools that I've noticed over the time. Like I ground immediately, sending the cords down into the earth so that the anxiety and the worry, the fear, whatever, it has a direction to go. So I set my intention to ground first, and then I open myself to receive the light, the messages, the healing, and I just be and I listen to the emotions that are coming up. I acknowledge them. And then I think you gave this to me. I was on this kind of path, but I loved how you really just sort of brought it all together by you acknowledge, you bless, like, thank you for the lessons. Thank you so much. You wrap it in light and then you release.
Yep.
So that has been very helpful. And then my other favorite mantra that you gave me was nothing but light, love, and the purity of God is allowed within me and around me.
Yep.
So these are just sort of, I've been reprogramming myself for like some 10 years now. So I just love to like have people share how they invoke it.
Yeah, the prayer of nothing but light and love and purity of God is allowed within me and around me has been one that like literally has saved my life when I've been in a place of sheer terror, because like it was not my physical world, it was the spiritual world moving into my physical that caused me to come up with that. And it was only that repeatedly, I must have said it 50 times to make what was happening go away. And I was in such a state that I remember sitting up in bed, my eyes closed, and because I was so terrified, I didn't want to open my eyes and see what I was feeling in the room, that as soon as I felt the release of it, I laid back down and I didn't wake up for a couple more hours. But then again, I got up and like totally cussed out my angels because I was like, what was that? I'm like, why am I getting so terrified? But it was, teaching me not to be complacent, not to forget that no matter where I am on my journey, I must always protect myself. I must always ask for that protection in the morning with purpose. And I do, I ask for that divine light to encircle me. And wherever I go, let my light inside emanate out to those that need it and all that are around me, whether I speak to them or not, but to keep my energy field safe and protected. So the beautiful light bubble that you can create around yourself is basically one way. You send out that light and love, and then it is filled from the light and love above. So it's important, just ask for it, accept it, and know that you're worthy of it. No questions asked, just always worthy. You are always worthy of that love, that protection, and that support. So, well, thank you guys so much. I'm so excited for having you all here. Thank you for asking questions and being present and showing up for me. Thank you so much. I love you all. Have a beautiful weekend. And I'll see you hopefully next month when we do this again.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.